We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Scholars of Wrestling Show. I am Scholar Jeff. With me as always is Scholar Brian.
Hello.
Hello. And of course, Scholar Tarek is still on assignment, aka on daddy duty, so Godspeed, sir. But in the meantime, we're here with another episode of the Scholars of Wrestling. And wow, this has been a very interesting couple of weeks.
If that's what you think.
Well, yeah, we didn't get a chance to cover this on the last show, but yeah, Roman Reigns is gone.
Roman Reigns is out for the very
foreseeable near future.
Foreseeable future because of a freak hernia that just took him out within like hours.
Yeah, if I didn't know any better, I'd say everyone who is cursing Roman Reigns, just get out of the way. And, well, Internet, you got your wish. Congratulations.
Yeah, and guess who's taking over where Roman Reigns left off? Mr. Dean Ambrose.
Oh.
And, wow, the reactions that this guy is getting. Okay,
yeah.
For all of you Daniel Bryan marks. Okay, I can honestly say that other than the steel cage match with Bray Wyatt when he turned on the steel cage match where he turned on Bray Wyatt and the WrestleMania title victory, okay, I've never heard reactions louder than the one that Dean Ambrose got at Money in the Bank when he came back out in the ladder match, and the reactions he's been getting the last 3 weeks. Holy crap, dude! I can honestly say that I think I can say that Dean Ambrose is getting better reactions than Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan's are based off of a chant, based off of a yes chant. I'm not saying that the chant itself is the only reason that Daniel Bryan is over, because that's wrong. I know that, but Ambrose is getting Ambrose chants.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to need some time to process all that, but we will come back to that in a minute. In the meantime, I've got a feeling that a major theme of tonight's show is just going to be the status of the old school, of the new school, rather. Old school, please. We talk about enough about the
old school. We know where they're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, let's take a look at the new school, the rising stars of WWE, and how they seem to be coming out in force lately.
Oh, yeah. You got Dean Ambrose, you got Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, his heel character is growing on me. Now that they've given him stuff to do other than being the whiny, give me what I want guy that happened when he first turned on the Shield. Now that he's actually making moves and getting stuff done, okay, air quotes, taking out Roman Reigns, just like forfeit victory over Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. Okay. What happened on Raw this week? He is apparently the ringleader of Randy Orton and Kane. Apparently, they listened to Seth Rollins.
Yeah, he's being branded as the new golden boy right now, and you know what? I'm digging it. As long as it's not like a total rehash.
The thank you chants as he was curb stomping John Cena into the briefcase. That was glorious.
And you better believe that WWE got that message loud and clear.
Yeah. So, yeah, they got that message loud and clear, which is why they're talking about what they're talking about for Hell in a Cell, which, in my opinion, bad move. Okay, because Dean Ambrose versus John Cena for the right to face Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
and the
I
loser
heard about
face.
That too.
First of all, okay, you're defacing Randy Orton. Okay, because the loser of that match apparently will face Randy Orton later on in the Hell in a Cell. So,
yeah, that is a really odd stipulation. I know we got something similar with, at WrestleMania. We got a great WrestleMania moment out of that. But as far as two faces here, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Again, we have seen this where it works at WrestleMania, obviously. But then again, at the time, Daniel Bryan was riding such a wave of momentum against a guy who doesn't wrestle all the time, Triple H. So I think all of us generally knew what should happen and what could happen, and that's exactly what I got, and it was a great moment. If the same thing were to happen between John Cena and Dean Ambrose on a lesser pay-per-view like Hell in a Cell, quote-unquote, I'm not entirely convinced that they would let Dean Ambrose go over as hot as he is right now, and I
guarantee you, okay, with the storyline the way that it is right now, okay, John Cena would win. John Cena would win and face Seth Rollins. Dean Ambrose would lose and face Randy Orton. So, if this is the case, okay, why not just do a tag team Hell in a Cell match? Randy Orton takes the fall. Okay. Seth Rollins somehow finds a way to get out of the cage, scamper off, and you still have Seth Rollins being the ringleader. Randy Orton takes the fall. John Cena and Dean Ambrose both look good. Here you run the risk of but one of them looking bad. Okay, say what you want about John Cena. John Cena must always look good.
Mm-hmm.
That's what scares me right now. That's just what it is, and I'm past being scared about John Cena having to look good. Okay, because with the storyline the way that it is right now, Seth Rollins screwed John Cena basically out of winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So, of course, the WWE would have John Cena pull out the victory over Dean Ambrose, the hottest character in the WWE right now, bar none.
So basically you're telling me that they're pretty much guaranteed to screw the pooch on this one. They're going to
almost
drop the ball
95%. You can't drop the ball on Dean Ambrose because he's got like Daniel Bryan staying power right now. Daniel Bryan of the end of last year staying power. No matter what you do to the guy, he's still going to be over.
Despite their best efforts, you cannot squash him.
He's still going to be over. However, okay, you got to have an end to this Dean Ambrose-Seth Rollins feud before you go into a John Cena-Seth Rollins feud. And in that case, I believe even before this pay-per-view, they've already screwed the pooch.
And you know what? Just the way this conversation is going, I wish I could say I disagree with you, but I really don't. I mean, we got an unexpected surprise in the rise of Dean Ambrose by default. Obviously, we got to put someone in Roman Reigns' spot. Hey, guess what? Dean Ambrose is coming back just as, surprise, Big Roman's out with an injury. The time is right. Let's give this Ambrose guy the ball. And guess what? He's running all the way into the end zone. Oops. How did that happen? Oh, wait, we hired a really talented dude. Wow. Now we're at an impasse. We got to do our usual thing to give John Cena his time in the spotlight, which is forever. Or we can give it to this new guy who is taking the ball and running with it and is incredibly over.
What they should have done at Night of Champions, when Roman Reigns was out, okay, and they brought Dean Ambrose back, they should have scrapped the plan for the main event. Because obviously that was always going to be the plan for the main event. If the Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns match actually happened, Seth Rollins was still going to come out no matter what happened, and Dean Ambrose would have come back on Monday on Raw. Okay, but once Roman Reigns was out, and they bought Dean Ambrose back a night early, they should have scrapped what happened and have Brock Lesnar come out clean.
As much as I would have loved to seen that...
Well, maybe not clean, but Brock Lesnar come out on top, not looking like a biatch like he did at Night of Champions.
I wouldn't even say he looked like a biatch. It looked like he could have won, or Cena could have won. Either way you slice it, was still a cop-out. I hate dusty finishes like that, especially on a pay-per-view. That's crappy, but then again, we're talking about the post-WWE Network style of pay-per-views.
I will say this, though. For his first time taking it, Brock Lesnar took that curb stomp like a champ.
Well, then again, we're also talking about Brock Lesnar here. Physical capability is pretty much all this guy knows.
Very true.
What he does well. I'm not shocked. That is to be expected. It's Brock Lesnar. It's what he does. But now I have two questions lingering after all of this. I hope one of them is affirmative. First being, talking about Dean Ambrose. When I look at Dean Ambrose in the position he's in right now, I cannot help but think about other times when someone, for one reason or another, has had to step aside and someone else just naturally goes into that role and is instantly in the main event. I'm reminded of the steroid scare. I believe it was in the early 90s and then all of a sudden all these big guys got to get pushed out of the spotlight. We need some smaller guys to show that we're not all about the big dudes and the steroids.
And then comes Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure you can come up with other examples. Let's bump this up to the current, where we all suddenly have this influx of really talented young guys. Oh, hey, let's push Roman Reigns to the room. Uh-oh, he's injured. We've got Dean Ambrose just happens to be coming back. He's super hot right now. He's getting super over. Let's give him the ball running with it. Accidental megastar. Who would have thunk?
I do believe, that no matter what happens, Roman Reigns, they're still going to try to push him bigger than Dean Ambrose. Because once he comes back, it's going to be back to status quo. However, Dean Ambrose has put himself in the position where even if he does get bumped back down, he's still going to be considered a star. A star is still born. A star was born at Money in the Bank.
Right. And
when he got that reaction in the comeback to the ladder match. As soon as he got that reaction, a star was born.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And you know what? Not for nothing, it's not the return of Roman Reigns that I'm dreading. We all know he's going to come back. We all know he's a megastar in the making. He's the corporation's golden boy, for lack of...
All three of these guys are going to be main event superstars.
Yeah, I don't think that's really in doubt right now. Well, the one thing I was really in doubt was who would get it in which order. I think that the majority of us were all expecting that Roman Reigns was going to be the first one to the top since he's got a rocket strapped to his back for a while. And then, oops, injury. That was just all the catalyst that we needed to get to bring Dean Ambrose all the way to the top of the pack as a mega face.
I still believe that Roman Reigns will get it first.
Okay.
I still believe, because, let's face it, Roman Reigns wins the title. Seth Rollins still has the briefcase until July. What better way to get one over on your Shield buddies than to cash in on Roman Reigns?
If that is still a thing that they want to do.
Well, that's how I would do it. I'd still have Roman Reigns go over on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I would still have that. Because I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's very likely to happen.
That was the plan. That is the plan. That was the plan. As long as Roman Reigns is back in time for the Royal Rumble, the plan will stand. But
hopefully not, but that's beside the point. Yes.
I'm fine with it. But then you have Seth Rollins, okay, who will have the BS heel Money in the Bank run that never goes for very long. I don't believe that Seth Rollins will lose the briefcase. Will lose the title shot. I mean, like, cashing in and then losing. I don't believe that'll happen. I believe that he will get one over on Roman Reigns and become champion. Okay? Then you have the possibility, and this is fantasy booking here. We're going into that zone. Now you have the possibility for triple threat matches.
And you know that would be a license to print money. The one caveat I see in this whole scenario is I'm not so sure that they would want to do a heel victory coming out of WrestleMania of all things.
I don't believe...
If it was any other pay-per-view, I would say you're 100% spot on.
I misstepped. Okay? I didn't mean that Roman Reigns would win at WrestleMania and Seth Rollins would cash in immediately. I did not mean that. At some point after WrestleMania, before Money in the Bank.
Maybe like the next night on Raw?
The next night on Raw, couple months down the line, whenever, Seth Rollins cashes in on Roman Reigns. Maybe the rematch.
That would indeed be glorious.
Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, because you know he's going to get a rematch out of it. Brock Lesnar disqualifies himself and just beats the crap out of Roman Reigns, and here comes Seth Rollins.
It is crap.
Plan D.
Please, by the time that hits, it's probably going to be Plan Q or something absurd. But.
Yeah. Seth Rollins cashes in. The Authority has the title again. And that leaves the door open to countless possibilities.
Yes, but going back to the immediate future just for 1 second. Just go back. Obviously, the future of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are pretty much set in stone here. What is going to be the fate of Dean Ambrose at Hell in a Cell?
It all depends on whether they go through this cockamamie idea of the Hell in a Cell match. I do believe the better option here would be the tag team match in the Hell in a Cell. Dean Ambrose and John Cena versus Seth Rollins and Randy Orton. If they do it the way I believe they're going to do it, which was how we talked about it, Dean Ambrose versus John Cena, the winner faces Seth Rollins, the loser faces Randy Orton, which basically debases Randy Orton as well.
Yeah, let's face it.
But
I don't think anyone really wants to see John Cena versus Randy Orton for
this is a bad idea all around for almost everybody involved. But okay, you don't bury Dean Ambrose because Dean Ambrose comes out on top over Randy Orton. Alright? But he still loses to Golden Boy.
Yeah, unless they're... Again, one thing that I do like about this whole post WWE Network pay-per-view world here, they can pull any sort of shenanigans that they want to at this point, and it would still be quote-unquote okay for them to do so. And what I mean by that is the outrage would not be as significant as if every single person watching the pay-per-view paid $45 or $50 for it.
Indeed.
If they were, then yeah, that poop will not fly. Now that they can do this, I am not 100% convinced that they wouldn't, or they should not, do something like this for the better health of building new stars and their precious little golden boy. All I'm saying right now is that hope is indeed not lost.
But I will say this. If John Cena faces off against Seth Rollins, you cannot have Seth Rollins lose. You can't. Shenanigans or whatever else, Seth Rollins must win that match.
Yeah, you know what? I'll totally admit this. I was so focused on what's going to happen to Dean Ambrose, I didn't even think of what will happen if Cena actually does get his hands on Seth Rollins.
Cena will get his hands on Seth Rollins. Dean Ambrose, I'm 95% sure, does not beat John Cena in his first attempt.
I don't. This is the first time in a long time.
Dean Ambrose,
I don't know quite what's going to happen here.
Dean Ambrose and John Cena, I believe, have never faced off one-on-one.
I cannot recall a single time when that's happened. I'm sure someone listening to this, if you can think of a time when it's actually happened, post something in the comments. Prove us wrong. We want to learn more. But in the meantime,
if that is indeed the case, that this is their first time facing off one-on-one, John Cena does not lose.
Without shenanigans, anyway.
Without shenanigans. Okay. And the only way there's shenanigans is if it turns into the tag team match that I was just talking about.
I'll tell you what, just talking about this again, it's really make me want to look forward, me want to watch Raw for this next couple weeks, just to find out what the heck are they going to do with this? I mean, they had to do so much rewrites with the Daniel Bryan incident. It's not entirely unheard of for them to have something in mind and then go in a completely different way, just from week by week. But that's exactly what happened with Daniel Bryan. And guess what? They got a megastar out of it.
Let's face it with Daniel Bryan.
Could strike twice.
Let's face it with Daniel Bryan, though. At the time of the rewrites, he wasn't going up against John Cena.
I wish you didn't have a point just then.
He was going up against Bray Wyatt and the Authority, who at the time had nothing to do with John Cena. Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins are in the unfortunate position of having to be in the same storyline with John Cena. The Golden Boy, who must always look good.
And that's what scares me. So I think we sort of reached an impasse at this point. I don't think we really know quite what will happen to our boy Dean Ambrose at this point.
At this point, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until something
he
happens,
obviously beats Randy Orton. If that's the case, yes. If they come to that, if it comes to that, but with John Cena, man, I just don't know. I don't know either. I don't know if the WWE allows him to beat John Cena at this point.
I don't know either. And you know what? Not for nothing, it's that sort of air of uncertainty. It's the same type of air of uncertainty you get with the Daniel Bryans of the world, where we know it should happen, we know we want to see it happen. But will it happen? Will the powers that be actually pull the trigger on it? Only one way to find out. Tune in to the WWE Network for $9.99.
And if Dean Ambrose somehow comes up against Seth Rollins, okay, I don't care who wins, because it's awesome all around. That's it.
Let's face it, we're going to want to see Dean Ambrose finally get his comeuppance. After all this time, if it's going to happen, it's got to happen soon.
I know that, but I mean, like, watching the match, okay, I'm just going to be...
You're totally right.
I'm going to be basking in the glory, and I'm not really going to care who wins at the time. When I think about it 2 days down the road, that will probably change. But at the heat of the moment, I'm just going to be like, this is awesome, I don't care.
Hey, it's good wrestling, can't argue with that. Anyway, we sort of jumped right ahead to the big news of the week. Let's backtrack a bit, and let's go back to a little bit of detail that I guess we can call it our little nugget for backstage news this week. And that is, I know we were talking about it very briefly right before we started recording, and that is the debut of the one and only Prince Devitt on a taping of NXT just recently. Let me just ask you this before we get started. Spoiler alert, by the way, in case you don't want to be surprised by any of this. Spoiler alert right now. Do you want to know the name of Prince Devitt in the WWE?
Sure.
His name is Finn Balor.
What the hell, man?
Okay. All right. I said the same thing. Actually, I think it's pronounced Balor, but let's just break this down for a minute. And I actually had to have this broken down for me before I actually started to get into it. Of course, we all know Prince Devitt. He's Irish. He's an Irish fella. Apparently, the Finn Balor, whatever how you pronounce that. Finn is for the Irish folk hero Finn McCummell. McCummell. I don't even know how you pronounce all these crazy names. Anyway, he's a big Irish folk hero who is apparently a king. So, in other words, the prince has become a king. So it's like, okay, I can deal with this.
I still just... It's very rare that the WWE has a good name.
Well, how about the last name? Balor. Balor. When I heard that name, again, I'm a huge nerd, you know this. I immediately think to my D&D sensibilities, and I'd have to think of the Balor in D&D lore, which I'm not sure if you know what a Balor is, or a Balor or whatever.
Explain.
It's basically a big, scary demon monster.
Oh.
Basically, think of...
So, King Demon, basically.
Yeah, it's basically the Balrog from Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. That is, in D&D world, that's basically a Balor.
Huh.
So basically, he is basically now a demon king. That's what they're what they're telling me right now.
If they play him off like a demon king, okay, that's good TV.
I'll tell you what, I actually saw some more footage of his debut. They actually have him in the paint, in all the war paint, battle paint, whatever you want to call it, in his Titantron for NXT. So he will probably be in the paint at some point.
Could be good.
And hey, with WWE, with all their resources, they can get some decent body painters. They've done it before. They can get some decent body painters to put something cool on him for the big events. And not for nothing, during his debut, he debuted as the tag team partner of Hideo Itami to fight against the Ascension. Now, if that's not a Dynamite debut, I don't know what is.
So the two newest signings, or that are actually wrestling right now, are teaming up.
Pretty much, yeah. In a manner most awesome.
All right. If they're gonna treat him like a demon king, I'm down. If they're not, then that's a crappy name.
You know what? It took me a little while, but it didn't take me that long. It just maybe took me a day to really get used to it. But now, I'm digging it. Finn Balor, cool.
We'll see how they run with it. In my mind.
Yeah, I think the one thing that sort of strikes me as odd in the footage I saw, both of these guys love their double stomps. They're double stomping like crazy.
A lot of people in NXT double stomp like crazy. It's like Cesaro came in and now everyone wants to do it.
Hey, someone's gonna have to put a stake a claim on it or something. Let's face it. I just think of it this way: between Adam Rose and Dean Ambrose, they're both doing these front face lock drivers or some variant of that. Dean Ambrose, it means so much more when Dean Ambrose does it than when Adam Rose does it.
The bunny is more over than Dean Ambrose. Not Dean Ambrose.
Sit down.
Adam Rose. What am I doing?
Have another beer.
Adam Rose. Dean Ambrose. We've been talking about Dean Ambrose so much that Dean Ambrose comes to mind immediately. I meant Adam Rose.
Brian, finish your beer.
Okay.
Finish your beer.
Okay. Just keep talking about NXT.
Well, I will. Actually, no, I won't. That's really the only thing I want to talk about. Just Finn Balor.
Finn Balor.
You love him.
Irish?
A little bit.
Works for me.
Finish your beer. Now, for the last of the old school, or at least old school, I did it again. I'm not even drinking. What the hell? Anyway, back to the new school. I know this must have stuck out to you. How could you miss it? This past week on Raw, all these Luke Harper vignettes for a solo run, of all things. This was really surprising, but you know what? Not unappreciated at all. I think we all saw this coming. I think a lot of us have noticed, as he was part of the Wyatt family, we all knew how good Luke Harper is. Occasionally gets some little cracks of brilliance. We know he can wrestle. We know he can talk. I never expected this quite as soon as we did. I was expecting him and Eric Rowan to do the tag thing for a little bit longer, but hey, I'm digging it.
I'm just happy that they didn't have Luke Harper go off in the singles by turning on Bray Wyatt.
I am glad for this as well.
I like the idea of all three of them being singles competitors, or maybe Luke Harper doing his singles thing while still teaming with Eric Rowan.
Mm-hmm.
But we all knew it was coming. It's not a surprise. Did I think that they'd have Luke Harper on TV more than Bray Wyatt at this point? After Night of Champions?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
No, but Luke Harper's earned it. So we'll see what he can do when the time comes for him to actually start wrestling.
Yeah, I'm just saying this as someone who is an occasional follower of Chikara. Ever since he first came on the scene as Brody Lee, started big booting people in the face. This guy in a singles position can absolutely go. No doubt in my mind.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But I think that's the mainstream WWE audience is definitely going to be a little bit surprised by the kind of range that this guy brings to the table. I am really glad that Luke Harper is going to be going on a singles run right now. The big question is, where do you put him? Who do you put him with?
I'd put him up against Sheamus.
Really? That soon?
Well, I mean, I just want to see big guys clubbering.
That's fair. That's fair. If nothing else, we pretty much saw with this match with Cesaro that, you know what, the big clubbing guys can definitely put on a good show, and you know what? Luke Harper is every bit as good as those guys.
And we know that they both can fly as well.
Oh, yeah.
Sheamus does that fling himself over the top rope shoulder block. Luke Harper runs through the ropes, jumps through the ropes with the shoulder tackle. Works for me. You have here's the ultimate for me. Okay. Harper versus Sheamus versus Cesaro, make it happen.
Ooh, that one's going to be good. But let me ask you this, though. Does Luke Harper take the U.S. title off of Sheamus?
No.
Okay. Just no? Or does he...
Not yet.
Does it go into a feud?
Not yet. If Luke Harper goes up against Sheamus, it'll be a feud. Sheamus will beat Luke Harper the first time. Then we'll go from there.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. If that's actually what ends up happening, I guess you can call it. Brian was right again.
Let's face it, okay? The ceiling for Luke Harper, as it is at this point, is the United States title. You're not gonna have him go up against guys like Dolph Ziggler and The Miz, smaller guys. You're gonna have him go up against the Sheamuses and the Cesaros. The same type of wrestler. Or at least that's what I would do, because you know you get good stuff out of that. So have Luke Harper go after the United States title, maybe get a helping hand from Eric Rowan every now and then. You have the tag team matches, the dysfunctional team of Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Wyatt family. Bam, ready made.
Works well enough for me. I just want to see more of the Wyatts on my TV. Hey, if it comes in the form of Luke Harper singles push, Cool, bring it on. We already know the guy can go.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
We know all three of these guys can go.
Which brings me to my last major question of the evening. Brian, where the heck is Bray Wyatt?
John, I'll tell you what happened to John Cena. Well, I just brought the cat out of the bag.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you exactly what happened to Bray Wyatt.
John Cena happened to Bray Wyatt.
John Cena happened to Bray Wyatt. Yeah, he beat Chris Jericho in that cage match, but where's he been since?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of, and the only report I've heard, is that creative has nothing for him specifically. Like, come on, how can you not have that?
Which is freaking stupid.
If that's the truth, then
if that's the truth, then the WWE creative team needs to be fired right now.
Seriously, WWE creative team, look. Speaking of someone who has a dash, the tiniest modicum of production experience, I know it's difficult to come up with all this programming every single week. You got to produce a lot of content. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, and I understand that. But if you look at someone like Bray Wyatt, and you figure out that, you know what, we don't have a use for you, or we don't know what to do with you. In the harsh words, I know, but that just screams incompetence.
Bringing a message from Scarlett Torek. WWE creative, get out.
Short, sweet, and to the point. Just again, the one good thing I can think of this is that whole concept of the absence makes the heart grow fonder. As soon as Bray Wyatt comes back and does the whole blah blah town, we're here. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. We're going to see Bray Wyatt do his thing again. This could definitely be the start of another major resurgence for Bray Wyatt. I want to see it, but again, this is another time when I don't know what the heck WWE Creative or Vince or whoever has in mind for him. Why would
Bray Wyatt versus Sting? Get it done.
You know what? Have you been reading his Twitter?
I have.
Okay,
that's
so
why I said that.
I'll tell you what. I don't know, as cool of an idea as that might be, number one, I don't know if it's actually going to happen. Just
WrestleMania. Get it done.
At WrestleMania 31,
yes.
You know what the big money match is going to be. If
Taker's not going to be ready.
We thought that before, and
I always knew that the Undertaker would come back at WrestleMania. I don't know this year. If he doesn't come back, Sting Wyatt.
I'll tell you what.
There's no other option.
But what is that really going to mean? Either Bray Wyatt
beats a legend.
That would establish him, but if we're talking about us, let's face it. If Sting comes back to full time, well, he's not going to come back to full time, did he? But if he gets back in the ring again, he's going to be using extremely limited ring capacity. Like, we're talking maybe no more than single digits matches per year. Do we really want to burn Sting on Bray Wyatt?
Yes.
But let's put it another way. You do have a point there. let me rephrase this. If we have a limited number of Sting appearances in ring, do we use Sting as an opponent for The Undertaker, the big feud that everyone's been talking about for decades, or we do it to build up a rising star in Bray Wyatt? Because no matter which one you pick, you miss out on something potentially huge. Which one would be the wiser choice, in your opinion? Thinking. Let me just start it off. Out of the two, I feel like the ideal option would be to put Sting against The Undertaker. Not because it should happen, but because it must happen. I noticed WWE, especially during the Triple H era, for lack of more apropos terms, there's definitely a lot of legacy building and sort of rounding out the entire history of WWE. Things like getting back guys like Bruno Sammartino, who would not go into the Hall of Fame. Reconciling big name feuds like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, the return of Ultimate Warrior to WWE, period. There seems to be this whole big recurring thing of, in recent years, just bringing everything full circle. And now that Sting is finally signed, as much as there's all these dream matches that we would love to see happen as far as the utilization of Sting, I feel like the one big match that must happen, not should, but must happen in order to get that sense of completion and just to get people to shut up about it, it's Sting versus The Undertaker needs to happen at some point. And I think that needs to take precedence as far as what feuds you're going to put Sting in. That needs to be precedent. That needs to take precedence over everything else that Sting does if all things work out in favor and The Undertaker's ready. Sting versus The Undertaker needs to happen first.
As you said yourself, if he's ready, that is under question right now. Yes, I do believe that Sting versus Taker should happen first. I agree with you. But if The Undertaker isn't ready, you have the backup of Sting versus Wyatt. Wyatt's already selling it.
Mm-hmm.
Right now. There's only one thing that Scorpion can mean.
Yeah, really, we know.
Okay, so at some point, Wyatt and Sting are going to have a showdown. It all just depends on whether it's at WrestleMania or not. So that is when Bray Wyatt gets the major push. When he faces Sting. He will face Sting. He will face Sting at some point. Whether it's before The Undertaker or after The Undertaker, that's the question. Both matches are happening.
Okay, I just got a little twinge of a bit of a fantasy booking predicament here. Let's say Sting comes back into an on-screen character, full makeup, full thing with the crow and whatever. We get some Bree-Roo derp. Bray Wyatt starts the whole thing kicking off. They have a feud. Maybe Sting wrestles a match here and there. Sting versus Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt goes over. Bray Wyatt gets this whole thing. They blow off the feud. Sting's like, okay, wow, I got beaten up and I got messed up bad. I think maybe it might be grinding down. It might be it for me.
I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, it probably do. It's sort of right to self after a certain point. Basically, emotionally, mentally, as a competitor, he reaches the same point The Undertaker is at right now. Both eventually, book it however you will, book it however circumstances you want. What's important is this: Undertaker, Sting, they both come to the same conclusion. Like, you know what? If we're going to go out in a blaze of glory. We're going to give the fans the big match that everyone wanted to see for 2 decades. Sting versus The Undertaker, WrestleMania. Last match for both these guys. Let's just leave it all out in the ring. Just leave it there. Boom. Match. Even if it's not great, we get it. So just so it happened. Bray Wyatt gets a singles push back. Both legends go out in a blaze of glory. Then,
and they both enter the Hall of Fame.
Yep, class of 2016, they're both in the Hall of Fame, if not sooner.
Hell, I would think that they do that. It would be like Ric Flair. The night before they get entered in the Hall of Fame, then they go out in a blaze of glory.
It's indeed plausible, absolutely. But you know what? If you're listening to this, you probably got some opinions of your own. You're probably wondering, hey, I think Bray Wyatt and Sting should happen first. No, it's Undertaker or Sting's gotta happen. We want to know what you think. drop us a line, leave us a comment in the comments section below if you're watching us on YouTube. And of course, if you like what you hear, like this video, subscribe to us if you want to hear more on a weekly or semi-weekly basis. Times are weird, but you know what? We're still going to keep pumping out these episodes, bringing fresh, new quality content to you, all the wrestling discussion you can want, and more. Let us know what you think. Who's the stars of the future? Who's going to get the big rub and actually succeed? Let us know. In the meantime, we got things to do, more wrestling to watch, because we are the scholars of wrestling, and you have just been schooled.
You're welcome.
So let's talk some more about Dean Ambrose.
Let's do that. He's crazy.
He's a crazy boy.
And he loves that cruiserweight division. Yes.